talk a little bit of boxing. And I want to talk with you guys about a lot of people are saying how, this fight's going to go 8 rounds or, you know, uh, Canelo's going to knock out Caleb Plant come November. Now, let me tell you why that's not going to happen. Caleb Plant's not going to knock out Canelo either. Both guys are defensively sound fighters. People say, well, how's Caleb Plant going to handle Canelo's power? Simple. Defense. Defense. When you're okay, so let me explain something to people. All right? You want to know the greatest defensive fighters of all time? Here's how I look at it. The greatest ones have never been stopped, or if they have been stopped, it's when they're very, very old, and it wasn't because of something defensively, a defensive flaw. It was your body failed them, maybe they got broken clavicle or some kind of weird thing like that with burnout. Okay? Why? Because defensive fighters, defense. So I don't like to talk things. I like to demonstrate. So let me demonstrate something so that people understand. Well, I'm going to demonstrate two things. Now, I did this in a video before, a stream before, but in this case, I took down the stream. So after I finished streaming, that was it, and I deleted the video because I thought it was too long. But I want to demonstrate a little something for you guys so you guys can see what I'm talking about. So here I am. You can see me, right? I'm going to do it again. I'm going to repeat what I said. And many different things you can do, but anyway. So here I am. I'm in my boxing stance, okay? Let's say, very powerful puncher. Big puncher, right? Step number one, what a big puncher will do, if he's an orthodox fighter, let's say, right, is he's got to throw the jab, right? He's got to throw the jab. Got to throw the jab. If you can't, the jab is everything. So he's got to throw his jab. He's going to throw his jab at some point. Or he's going to probably come in with a left hook, right? He's going to come in with a left hook. He's going to come in with a left hook, right? Okay. Whatever he does, whatever punch he throws, if I know how to ride punches, and if I know how to roll punches, I'm just going to talk about those two things. Ride a punch, roll a punch. Let's say he comes with a lead right, okay? Comes with a lead right at me, right? What do? I can snap back, okay? If I'm here and he comes with the lead right here, I'm going to snap back this way, right? Why am I going to snap back this way? Even though I might be blocking, it's because his right's coming this way. It's like a cross. So I'm going to snap back, okay? May take a step back. I may take a step back and snap back, okay? All right. Let's say he comes with a left hook, right? So he's here and he comes with a left hook, right? What do? If I'm in the southpaw stance, okay, he comes with the left hook, I catch him. But I don't just catch him. I can catch him, but I can also catch him and ride him. Catch him and ride him. Catch him and roll him. Right? 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 I can catch him and roll him. Oh, let's say he comes with a jab. Right? Comes with a jab. So he pops that jab. Bah, bah, right? He's popping that jab in my face. Whoop. Okay? He pops the jab. Right? Let's say he comes with a jab. Okay? I'm southpaw, but it doesn't matter. Comes with a jab. He throws the first jab. What do? What do? I just snap it down. I can slap it down. I can parry it. I can protect myself. Right? But that's mostly for the jab. Right. Okay? So there's those things. Also, snap back out of the way to jab. There's many different things I could do. But the most important thing is he's setting that jab because he's trying to set up something. And when you know the combinations in boxing, you come to expect that. What comes after a jab usually for an orthodox fighter? After the jab either comes a left hook or a right hand, particularly a straight right hand, a right cross. So jab, jab, right hand, right? What's the whole combination for an orthodox fighter? Jab, jab, right hand, left hook, right? So what comes after the right hand? A left hook. What knocks out fighters? right? Orthodox fighters, I'm in orthodox stance, right? Right hand, left hook, right? Right hand, left hook, right? Hook, hook, right? That's what they do. So if you know that a right hand's coming, right? A right hand's coming, you're going to slip the right hand, and when the left hook comes, you roll under the left hook, right? You know that's going to come. If you're a right hand, you got to look for the left hook, right? Now some people, they do double right hands. They do all kinds of things. And it doesn't matter. You throw a double right hand, I slipped it already. It's gone. It's gone by my shoulder. What I'm trying to say to you guys, I'm gonna show you something else. And guys like Caleb Plant, they do this all the time. This is second nature to him because he's been doing it since he was a child. But let's say they come to you and they got you on the ropes or whatever, and they're backing you up and you're backing up, right? And they come with a, I don't know, they come with a combination. You know, right hand, left foot combination. Or they leave with the right hand or they leave with the left hand, whatever they do. All right? Simple. I'm in the southpaw stance. He comes to me, throws a shot, whatever, and I just simply roll out the way of it. I just roll out the way of it. And all of a sudden, that shot is no longer relevant. If he's coming down straight towards me, I just roll out the way of it. Pivot. Small pivot. Use the shoulder. I could even parry it down. If I got the high guard, I could just parry it down and roll out the way. And if I want to, and if he's overreached, I could catch him with the left hand. Or if I'm an orthodox fighter, I could catch him with the right hand. Right? I'm sorry, I could catch him with the jab. Okay? Here's the other thing. If he's coming straight at me, going to throw combinations, his power, whatever, right? And I got my high guard up, I could just hook him as I'm getting out of there. Right? I could just hook him as I'm getting out of there. And that's called check hook. Okay? So I could actually mount defense and offense at the same time. Okay? Defense and offense. Defense, I'm getting out of the way of the shot. I'm rolling it. But as I'm rolling, since it's the same action to throw a hook as I'm rolling my shoulder, I just throw the hook with it. And I get out of the way. Okay? And that's just a very small portion of what Caleb Plant knows. What he knows and his skill set. He can fight off the ropes. He can fight in the center of the ring. He can fight going backwards, and he can fight going forwards. That's a fighter that's not like Harrison, Tony Harrison. He's not like Tony Harrison. Tony Harrison makes mistakes. And at that level, you shouldn't be making those kinds of mistakes. Now, back in the day, fighters used to make mistakes like that. Right? They used to make mistakes like that. But when you're an elite fighter and you're at the top level, you know, I don't hook with a hooker unless I'm doing this. So I'm a southpaw, so I'm going to hook with this hooker, right? I know the hooker hooks really hard. So I'm not going to hook him this way. That's stupid. To keep my chin, I don't care if I'm blocking it. It don't matter. I don't want to keep my chin in the way. So what I'm going to hook him like this. I'm going to hook him like this. Ha! My head is always going to go down. I'm going to hook him like this. Why? The trick is, get your hair out of the way. Get under the shots. Defense. So if I'm going to throw a hook, I'm going to throw a hook where my head is protected and my body is protected. After I finish throwing that hook, overhand hook, right? After I finish throwing that hook, I can always protect my body and roll out if I need to. Okay? So I'm just explaining to people, defense wins you fights. If you're going to hook with a hooker, you better have some defense. Caleb Plant has defense. Now, I was listening to Timothy Bradley. And he had something very interesting he was saying. And that was that Caleb Plant, he kind of fades during the middle to late rounds. Okay? He does fade a bit. We saw it with Ustateki when Ustateki was applying the pressure on him. A counterpuncher actually loves pressure. If you're coming to a counterpuncher, that's their game. Now, the thing about it is, Caleb needed to have that conditioning and mental acumen to be able to ride through that. But guess what? Canelo used to be that kind of fighter as well, where he had difficulty in the middle to late rounds. Now I want to say something. People say don't mention Danny Jacobs with these guys. Canelo had a really good fight with Danny Jacobs. Danny Jacobs actually is a very good fighter, and he is slick. When he wants to be slick, you can't hit him. Okay, and Danny Jacobs is a switch hitter. And people are talking about Danny Jacobs is not a good fighter. Danny Jacobs is a good fighter. I'm gonna say it again. Danny Jacobs is a good fighter. Canelo couldn't knock out Danny Jacobs. You know why? Because Danny Jacobs got defense as well. Okay, so Canelo couldn't knock him out. Triple G couldn't knock out Danny Jacobs. Why? Because Danny Jacobs got defense. Y'all got to respect the man. And the more you guys look through history, you're all going to see, as Canelo stopping other fools that don't have that kind of defense, you're going to see Danny Jacobs was a slick fighter. And I did not think Gabe Rosado beat Danny Jacobs. I thought Danny Jacobs beat Gabe Rosado. But that's another story for another day. So what I'm saying is, you had Danny Jacobs, Erislandy Lara. And Erislandy Lara, he don't really ride and roll punches that much. He does. But he don't really ride and roll them. Not good enough, because Canelo was still landing some really nasty body shots in him. He was catching punches, though. But he don't ride and roll punches. He don't stay on the ropes and ride and roll punches. Mayweather does that. Canelo does that. And Caleb Plant does that. Okay? Demetrius Andrade, not so much. Demetrius Andrade don't stay on the ropes and he would ride, and come back with something. But Demetrius Andrade is a good fighter. Jermell Charlo, he can stay on the ropes a little bit. He does his thing, comes, keeps the shell, and then he throws the uppercuts. But what I would say to Jamal is, Jamal, you need to ride the punches and roll punches more. Learn how to ride and learn how to roll. Keep on rolling with it and riding with it. I mean, really take that sting off the punch and come back with something. Don't just stay on the ropes posing and the guy be hitting you here and you just taking the punch and you catching it. No. When he comes with the punch, roll it. And that takes composure. It takes calculated movements to get it right. Otherwise, he might hit you in the kidneys and he could put you down. So you have to be able to ride that, roll it exactly with the speed at which he's throwing it, which is a skill in and of itself. It takes a lot of composure to be able to do that. In the middle of the storm, you're doing it. Floyd was very good at it. His elbow, he knew how to kind of ride and roll punches. And he kind of kept one side of his body higher than his other side of the body, because he was keeping this, what I call the pyramidal shell defense. His feet are in the shape. He's forming a pyramid, sort of like, that protects him. So you have to reach in to get at him. And that's when he popped the counter. Okay, that's why James Toney didn't understand why Floyd leaned back, but he's keeping his head way away from your ass, and he's setting the trap. He's further away. He's closer to you than you think, but to reach him, you got to reach. And when you reach, hit counterpunch it. You got to reach in to get him. And still, you got to step around his lead foot. So where his lead foot is positioned, it's a lot of tricky things Floyd do in boxing. And you just have to know what you're doing when you have to deal with him. So to deal with Floyd's style, I think the best thing is to have Floyd coming at you. But you better know what you're doing, because if he senses that you don't have that defense that's necessary, he's just going to come at you and he's going to try and take you out. Okay, he's going to try and knock you out. So if he's coming at you, know he's changed modes. He's not just playing cat and mouse games anymore. He's coming to get you. He's coming to collect on his payment. All right, so, but you can actually set him up to walk into shots and stuff like that, because he does walk into shots. Once you're on the defensive and he's on the offensive, you actually have him. You have a better situation working for you there. Now, if you are saying "come get me," which is different. Like if you're a long fighter, for example, using your reach, he's going to pick his time to come get you. He's always going to attack you when you don't think he's going to attack you. That's how he's going to do it. But if you try to, like, you do a defensive maneuver and he realizes, oh, that's all he got is a jab, or all he got is this, or all he got is that, I'm going to get his ass. I'm going to walk him down. Oh, he don't pop that hard? I'm going to walk him down. That kind of thing. He will walk you down and he will beat you up. So the strategy has to be one in which sometimes you do it, and when you do it, you have something for him. You have a trap. You set a trap for him, so you have something for him. Because he does get caught. He does make an adjustment, but he does get caught coming after guys. Usually, when he's coming after guys, that's when they get him. They don't get him when he's being defensive. You know, if you look at Marcos Maidana, he really was more effective in the second fight than in the first. He caught Floyd. I mean, you can get more picture perfect third round counter to the counter where he came with a 1-2. The 1-2 offsets a pull counter. Of course, you got to know the pull counter is coming. And Marcos Maidana baited Floyd into throwing that pull counter a couple of times, timed him, and then smacked him with it. Smart boxing. So basically, a defensive fighter is a very difficult fighter to beat. Okay, go watch Mike Tyson versus, what's the guy's name? Begins with N. It only lasted a round, but the fight had to be called off as a no contest. But that dude was giving him some problems. I forgot what the guy's name is. Begins with N. You guys should check that out, because the guy was, again, stepping around, popping the jab. You know, he was about the same size as Tyson, and he gave Tyson all kinds of problems. And the reason why fighters will give Tyson problems, once you're going to Tyson, once you're moving into him, and whether it is you move in and you clinch or whatever, the trick to beating Mike Tyson is really a simple thing. It is, do not run away from Tyson. Go towards him, but stay fundamentally behind your jab and boxing. And so you're not, okay, it's like Roberto Duran. It's like Julio Cesar Chavez, right? Pernell Whitaker beat Julio Cesar Chavez. He didn't go all the way to the ropes. He wasn't running from Chavez. He stayed right in the center of the ring and turned Chavez. And turned him. Pivot. So I try to explain to people. Pivot, right? You look at all the great defensive fighters. You look at even Kirkland Lang, when he actually fought Duran, he wasn't moving to the ropes. He wasn't none of that. He was like right in the center of the ring, right in Duran's range. Right in Duran. He was right in the pocket with Duran. But his footwork allowed him to step around Duran all the time. And Duran would keep on coming down the wrong line, and he would just tag him. You know what I mean? And the key to it is understanding what kind of fighter you're dealing with. And with Duran, you push Duran back. No, Duran could box a little bit. So even if you push him back, he had a good jab, and he keep that jab, fake the jab, you know, to try to keep you off balance and stuff. Duran was, bait and counter was Duran's thing. It wasn't really roll in, roll out. He wasn't a roll in, roll out kind of guy. He was quickness, bait you with the jab, come in with a counter, right? Which could have knocked his ass out. And I guess that's why Hearns knocked him out. But if he was a guy that bobbed and weaved, you know, just to kind of talk about defense, you can have defense going forwards. Bobbing and weavers. Henry Armstrong. In fact, there was a guy, his name was Al. Was it Al? No, it wasn't Al. But it was something Heyman. I can't remember what. Heyman with an A. Man. So man, not Heyman, but Heyman. He fought Thomas the Hitman Hearns. And I thought that he dropped Hearns twice in that fight. And if you ever watched the fight. And this guy, he was a bob and weaver. And Hearns just couldn't tag him. You know, he couldn't catch him like how he wanted to catch him with the right hand. And that was because he was bobbing and weaving. But it wasn't just bobbing and weaving. See, some guys, they bob and weave, but they stand right in front of you bobbing and weaving. So they're not moving off to an angle. This guy was moving off and approaching Hearns off of angles. And he was bobbing and weaving. And go watch the guy, something Heyman. You can just look at one of his surname was Heyman. Look at, you know, go Box Rec or go on YouTube and you'll see the fight. And the key to dealing with guys who are offensively powerful, guys, power punchers, you know, guys who could really crack. Andre Ward versus Sergey Kovalev. Floyd Mayweather versus, you know, I mean, you name them. Oscar De La Hoya, Shane Mosley, Canelo Alvarez, Marcos Maidana, you know. Guys that can crack. Andre Berto. Guys that can crack. They got power in their fist. How you negate power, just for everybody out there, okay? It's real simple. Power is only as good as it can land clean. I don't care if you're Deontay Wilder. I don't care if you're Ernie Schaefer. I don't care who you think you are. Or George Foreman. You got to land clean to really make your power effective. Some people say, well, if you just nick the guy, now if a fella is falling because a guy nicked him, then his defense is not on point. You got good defense. You got defense on point like Charlie Burke, like Mike McCallum, like I think it's McLaurin, like Jimmy McLaurin. Was it Jimmy McLaurin? No, it was Barney Russ. Barney Russ. All right, you got good. I don't care if you got good defense. Barney Russ had good defense. He never got knocked out in his 70-something fights, right? James Toney, 90-something fights, 100-something fights, never got knocked out. These guys have good defense. Don't get me wrong. They got caught with some big shots. They got a chin too. They got caught with some big shots. Mike McCallum got caught with some big shots, but he rode the shots. He rode it, so he didn't get knocked out. See, because he could read when a guy is really teeing up to get that big shot. Because when you gotta really throw a big shot, it ain't gonna be on telegraph. You gonna show that you throwing that big shot. You gonna show it. You gonna crank him up to show him. You gonna crank up that left hook, or you gonna shift your body weight a certain way to crank that left hook. And once you see that shift, you know what you gotta do. You gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta block it, roll it, slip it, ride it, whatever. And that's the thing about defense. So Canelo versus Caleb Plant. Canelo's not going to stop Caleb Plant. I don't care if he take 100 million PDs. He's not stopping Caleb Plant. Because the principle is the same. You could have a Mack truck coming at you. If you can roll out of the way of that Mack truck at the speed the Mack truck is coming at you, even though it's iron, steel, and metal, if you can roll or ride at the speed, I mean, if the thing's coming at 30, 40 miles an hour, you really got to turn that head. You might snap your head in the process, but if you can roll or ride the truck as it's coming, it has to come at an angle at you. If it's just directly coming at you, you're dead, right? But let's say it's at some kind of angle, okay? And it just clips you, and you're able to ride that punch or roll the thing. You're gonna be spinning out of control, probably hit some things and then fall down and keep on rolling. But the point is, you're not going to be hurt by it if you can actually turn yourself at rapid velocity, right? Punches don't come that fast, okay? Punches come at maybe 20, 30 miles an hour max. But a punch is like a truck coming to hit you. But if you can get out of the way, if you can get out of the way of that punch, right? Not necessarily, you can ride it or you get under it or, you roll it. If you're able to do that, take the steam off the punch. And the best thing in the world is making somebody miss, because all that energy that they expend to throw a punch that does not land and just hits air means that they're going to extend themselves. You can feel themselves extending beyond a certain point. It saps energy out of a guy. Guy missing punches all the time, it's going to sap the energy out of him. And guess what? Down the stretch, it's not going to be as sharp. Not going to be as accurate. I don't care if he take 1 billion PEDs. If he's hitting nothing but air, he's going to get tired. He's going to get mentally he's going to get drained. And if physically he's going to get drained. If you hitting nothing but air now. We're not talking about you hitting gloves. You're not hitting gloves. You're not hitting body. You're not hitting nothing. You're just hitting nothing but air. You're going to get tired. Mentally you're going to get fatigued. Because you're just punching at air. It takes a lot more energy to punch at air than to punch at an actual target and hit it. So, and not to mention how discouraging that can be. So, defensive fighters, the guys who have great defense, they're very difficult to face because you're not hitting nothing. If you want to know how to beat Floyd Mayweather, you got to be defensively slick. So he's punching nothing but air. And he's getting tagged for it. And that will beat Floyd Mayweather. That's mainly the only thing I think that can beat Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather needs to be able to, you have to make him miss and make him pay. You got to tire him out. And I don't care how much he can be in ridiculous shape. He's going to be tired at the end of that fight if you're making him miss and making him pay. That's what you got. You have to be a great defensive fighter yourself. So when people say, well, Canelo, I really should have made it shorter, Billy, but it is what it is. When people say Canelo's going to knock out Caleb Plant, I laugh, because that's not going to happen. Caleb Plant's going to be in the shape where he's going to be able to find points where he can measure out his energy so that he doesn't expend too much energy. He's going to find ways, crafty ways, to make sure that he's pacing himself correctly and going at the right pace. And then Canelo, he don't really go at a really, really fast pace. You know, but Caleb, of course, you train for any pace, because you got to prepare for anything. But the point is that defensive fighters, they're the hardest thing to knock out. I was listening to, I think I talked about this in the other video. I might scrap this video as well, the stream. So if you guys want to pop on, say your piece, and then leave the stream, fine. Because the stream's pretty long. But Julio Cesar Chavez said this about Floyd Mayweather. He said he would stop Floyd Mayweather. He couldn't stop Pernell Whitaker. How's he going to stop Floyd Mayweather? Right? He's not going to stop Pernell. He couldn't stop Pernell Whitaker. He's not stopping Floyd, right? So Bernard Hopkins was like, no way, no how. That's a dream. That's a wish. You know, Sugar Ray Leonard, I would knock out Floyd. No, you wouldn't, Sugar. Sorry, buddy. I know you was great at welterweight. I know you was knocking out fools and stuff. But you didn't knock out Adolfo Vera. Adolfo Vera at Southpaw. You didn't knock him out. And he's nowhere near the defensive genius of Floyd Mayweather. Well, I stopped his father. Take you 10 rounds to stop his father. You think Floyd is an inferior boxer to his father? Yeah, his father taught him the shell. And all his father used was the shell on you. He only used the shell. He never used high guard. He never used extended guard defense. He never used the cross arm defense. By the way, Floyd can use the cross arm defense. He did not use movement, foot movement. He didn't use those things. The pivot work that Floyd uses, and the movement, and then the feints. He didn't use all of that. All he got was the shell. And you had difficulty with the shell. All you keep on talking about is the shell. Floyd don't need a shell. All you got to do is look at Floyd in the amateurs. He wasn't even fighting with the shell. In the Olympics, he wasn't fighting with no shell. Floyd wasn't fighting with the shell. His father taught him the shell, but he didn't use the shell. Look at his fight against the Cuban, what's his name? I forget. The famous Cuban fighter who he beat. He wasn't using no shell. Okay? Floyd doesn't have to use the shell. That's what people don't understand. This guy, he's so good. He don't have to use the shell at all in his fight. And that's the only thing his father taught him. Taught him how to use the shell. And Floyd does use the shell a lot. But the way how Floyd used the shell, not even his father used the shell different to how he used the shell. Floyd has adapted the shell and made it. That's why he said it's the Mayweather defense. He does the shell in a special sort of way. Nobody else does. Okay? At times, Floyd reminds me of Georgie Benton. How Georgie Benton would move and lean back. Floyd do the same kind of thing. But then he got this little sweet pea thing in him. You know, you could see he took elements from Pernell Whitaker, where he dipped to one side and he keep that leg at a certain angle. You can't get in on him. I don't care how much reach you have. You got to reach in to get him, and he's going to pop your ass. He's going to light you up. He could light you up with the left hook, check hook, and spin out the way, or he could light you up with a counter right straight down the center, which would be Philly shell kind of thing. Or he could dip to one side and then bump you, or roll all the way out. And you just be up in their ropes there wondering what the fuck just happened, right? Because he's gone. Sugar Ray Leonard, a lot of respect to Sugar Ray Leonard and everything, and he was a great fighter and he beat everybody of his era, but Sugar, I'm going to tell you straight to your face, you can't fuck with Floyd. And your brother-in-law was right. You can't fuck with him. You would get beat. He would beat you, and he would make you look stupid. He going to make you look like a fool. You know, he's not going to knock you out. No, he's not going to knock you out. He'll hurt you to the body, but he's not going to knock you out. But he's going to make you look like a fool. He's going to clown you. He's going to clown on you, and he's going to make you look stupid because you're not going to be able to figure him out. You're just not going to be able to figure him out. He do too many things you know nothing about. Nothing. Okay, he has a system of feints. I keep on talking to people about these things. The system of feints he uses. So you can't even pick up his rhythm. And you getting bumped upside the head with lead rights. You know what I mean? Leonard can't fuck with Floyd, man. And Leonard's a good fighter. Don't get me wrong. Great jab and all of that. You know, systemic, smart fighter and all of that. But Floyd make adjustments in the ring. He don't even need to watch footage. You really looking at footage of fighters forming up a game plan to beat them. This is what I'm going to do. Motherfucker, you ain't got no game plan for Floyd. There's no game plan for him. You got to get in there. You got to work your ass off. Work every single facet and anything possible that could have happened in a fight. And then you got to train your ass like that. And then when the situation presents itself, you know how to react to it. There ain't no other way to deal with Floyd. There's no other way. There's no way to beat him because nobody's ever beaten him. Nobody knows what it is. You have to go in there, try to figure it out in one fight. And you can't figure out things in one fight. I don't really realize that. You needed a second fight to figure out Durant. You haven't even figured out Hearns. You ain't got past Hearns yet. You haven't figured him out. Okay? You haven't figured out Thomas the Hitman Hearns yet. How you going to figure out Floyd? And they come from the same place. Floyd and Hearns come from the same place, the Midwest. They Midwest fighters. You know? And Hearns, the Hearns that fought at super welterweight, oh man, I love that Hearns. That was the joint. Hearns was the joint. And let me just say this. Iron Barkley, you was lucky, bro. You was lucky because he was coming for your ass. Hearns was coming for you. You a lucky bastard. You got a split decision win. But really, Thomas Hearns, I got to tip my hat to Thomas Hearns. That Thomas Hearns is a bad motherfucker. That's a bad boy. You know, the one at welterweight, let's be real. The one at welterweight, one, it wasn't as experienced as that Hearns I saw. And two, he was weight drained. Thomas Hearns should never have been at welterweight. He should have gone to super welter. That was his thing. And then he should have moved up to middle. And he shouldn't have fought Marvin Hagler like he fought Marvin Hagler, man. I don't care how fast he comes out. Look how Floyd handled it. Yeah, I know you don't really have the shell defense, and I know you work behind, but stick the jab in his face. Stick the jab. Just stay with the jab. Forget the right hand. Jab him. Jab that motherfucker. Jab him. Jab him. And don't move so much around the ring. Pivot around him. Feint one way and then feint the other way. And stop galloping like a horse around the ring. Y'all always was doing the bounce. Bouncing here, bouncing there. That's not necessary. That's unnecessary movement. Sit down, plant your feet. When a motherfucker coming through, you pivot around him. Step around him. And pop his ass with a jab. That's all you had to do, Hearns. You would have beat it in his ass. Easy. Easy work. Easy work. Hagler was easy work for Leonard. Leonard showed you how to do it. And Leonard he was never your size. Leonard was never a true light heavyweight. You know, you went up to light heavyweight and you did your thing. And it's just so simple. Some of these things so simple. How you fought Leonard is how you should have fought Hearns. Hagler. You'd have beaten his ass. Easy. Easy work. Because Hagler, he good. He's a switch hitter and all of that. But he take punches, man. You busted up his face. He take punches. But you got so anxious and excited. Composure. Composure. That guy should have been easy work. Let me tell you. You're the guy with the longer reach. I mean, you got a long reach. Okay? You're the taller guy. If you drop, you long as hell. You telling me, Hearns, you couldn't beat that guy? You couldn't beat Marvin Hagler? He was easy work. He was easy work. Not with the attributes you had. You were supposed to handle that dude, and you should have set him in order so easy. So easy. With that jab, you should have set him in order with so easy. Man, when he come gassing in, jab him to the pit. You drop it, right there. I bet you his punk ass wouldn't have come forward. You sink that into his ass. You don't jab to the head. That's cool. But where is your breadbasket? In the pit. You get him in the pit, bro. You drop low and right in there. Oh, suck the air out of him. You go, oh, you know he would go there. He was well conditioned. Don't get me twisted. But that's where you got to go. And yeah, he does protect his pit a little bit. That's where you go. He stopped advancing before round one is over. He stopped advancing in your ass. You didn't box smart, man. You did not box smart. And all this shit about, oh, he was coming with intensity and we wasn't ready. You're supposed to be ready for anything. It's boxing. You're supposed to be ready for anything. So that's bullshit. Whoever says that, they're making excuses for you. You should have handled that dude. But you don't do that shit. That's why I know Floyd would beat you at welterweight. He'll beat you at welterweight. Because you was fast and everything, but you was headhunting all the time. You had a left hook to the body, a beautiful left hook to the body, but you headhunt too much. You headhunt too much. You tag guys in the head. Duran, you knock him out to the head. You know, what's my boy? Pipino Cuevas, you knocked him out to the head. And that's cool. The head stuff's cool. But what you gonna do when you reach a guy, your jab can't do nothing? What you gonna do then? You got such long reach. Them long arms got to come back. Yeah, you was quick, but I mean, and you was vicious, but you ain't fucking with Floyd. You can't fuck with him. You can't fuck with Pernell Whitaker. Whitaker would have tagged that body up so bad, and you always missing with your jab. Your jab would have been missing. You trying to throw the right cross, and you missing all over the place. Because you used to reach in with the shot. You try to put all the leverage and weight into the shot, and you reach in. Again, no disrespect to Thomas Hearns. Bad motherfucker, like I said before. You see that super middleweight version of Hearns? That's a bad boy. Okay? Super middleweight, light heavyweight version of Hearns was a bad boy. Okay? I have utmost respect for that version of Hearns. But the welterweight, middleweight version, you wasn't never supposed to be stopped. With those attributes, nobody was supposed to stop you. I don't care if you was cheating. I don't care if you had stamina problems, which you didn't have. You was fighting too small. You was losing too much weight. That's the problem. You didn't have stamina problems. We saw Thomas Hearns at light heavyweight. We saw Thomas Hearns all the way up to cruiserweight. We saw you was a big dude. You was a big dude. How big, dude? How big? I mean, you was growing and everything, but still, the man ended his career at cruiserweight, ladies and gentlemen. Canelo never fought at welterweight. He was at welterweight for a couple of years, and that was it. He was up to super welterweight, and he was ready to go middleweight. Okay, so I'm just saying, Thomas Hearns was too dry. He was just too small. Welterweight was not. I mean, he did excellently well. He punched like a Mack truck at welterweight because, I mean, you're talking about a guy who's really a cruiserweight or a light heavyweight. Sorry, he wasn't a cruiserweight. But light heavyweight. That's his best weight. You know, super middleweight, light heavyweight, right? This is a dude that crunches down into welterweight. Come on, man. I mean, I've seen Errol Spence. Errol Spence crunch down too, and he's basically a light heavyweight. But I'm just saying, you got to understand that, you know, that takes from you, especially if you're not losing weight the right way. It's going to take from you. And I looked at Thomas Hearns versus Sugar Ray Leonard, for example, was boxing the shit out of Sugar Ray Leonard. Leonard didn't know what to do. And he said, you know what, I'm going to draw close to this motherfucker and see if I can get him, right? And let's start closing the distance. But if you look at it, Thomas Hearns, right? Thomas Hearns was a big dude, you know? And Leonard went to the body. He went to your body. That's how he drained you. He went to your body. You know, he wasn't protecting the body well. You should protect your body well, man. For such a tall guy like that with such long arms, and you put that down, it's supposed to block everything. The problem with the guys, Leonard and Hearns and Duran's eras, they were flawed fighters. And even guys before that, a lot of them, yes, fundamentally sound to some degree, but it was flawed fighters. You could hit them. And let me tell you something about boxing. If you want to last long in the sport of boxing, you must be difficult to hit. Very difficult to hit. Leonard will say, you know, Duran was notoriously hard to hit. Well, because he was dipping under your punches. He kept on riding with your body and dipping under your punches. That's why when you throw a left hook and stuff and he's up on you, you can't hit him. When you throw an uppercut, he's watching for it and he gets out the way. Okay? Because he know that. He got his head down. He know he riding with your body. He's just riding with your punches. But see, you know, it's harder in there to deal with that than it is, you know, when a guy putting his weight on you and his head's up in your chest, like Henry Armstrong. It's hard. I mean, Henry Armstrong, let me tell you the two guys that I really have a lot of respect for. Benny Briscoe and Henry Armstrong, right? Benny Briscoe, I love it. I love the style. You know, I just want to show you guys. I love it. And they shift left to right, and they coming at you, right? They coming at you, right? Love the style because what it does is it keeps you hit. And again, you should be able to utilize that style. You should be able to utilize any style that you see because you should be trying those styles out in the ring and see how your version of it would happen. You must be able to have some Benny Briscoe in you. You must have some Henry Armstrong in you. You must have some Leonard in you. You must have some Thomas Hearns in you. You must have some Marvin Hagler in you. If you're seeing the styles, why are you not trying those styles? Try them out in your game. You know, Caleb Plant talked about the different fighters and how he and that's the same thing. Floyd was the same thing. Pacquiao, not so much. He admired Muhammad Ali. He admired Sugar Ray Leonard, right? And I'm sure those guys influenced him in his style of fighting. But, you know, Pernell Whitaker and so on, because Southpaw and whatever. You know, you would study these guys. But what you got to understand, Ernesto Marcel, man, I love that guy. Untelegraphed right hand. Bam! He just shift gears up. Boom! There go the right hand with power, too. You know, different fighters, man, you have to study the fighters. Be a student of the sport. You get with a trainer and just take in some of them fighters. Take in some of those fights. You know, because you got to look at them. You got to watch them. And then the trainer will give you the basics, the fundamentals, and say, hey, look at the fundamentals right there. Look at the fundamentals right there. All that other fancy stuff, that's cool. But you see that? I want you to do that and that. Because the fundamentals is the beginning of everything, right? But my point is defense. Okay? Canelo ain't just going to knock out Caleb Plant like that. It's not. That is not easy to do with a defensive fighter. And when I say a defensive fighter, I'm not talking about they just on defense all the time, like Reggie Strickland. No. I'm talking about a defensive fighter who's throwing offense, but he's defensively responsible every time he throws a punch. If you're going to throw a combination, he's going to throw it off to an angle. He's not going to stay directly in front of you and throw his combinations without moving his head. You see? And you see fighters, you know, when they get really offensive and they throw in 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 punch combinations, they head down the center line and they throw in their combinations. Wow. Not even Leonard used to do that. Sometimes he would stay off to the side, throw his combinations this way, right? And then he go off to this side and he throw his combinations this way, right? Because you're not supposed to be on the center line. A man come up straight up the center. Wow. You throwing all these combinations. All of that good work is gone because you get knocked out. No, you should be off center all the time. These are just common sense things. And I'm not talking about off center like standing in front of a guy off center. No, I'm talking about off center as in you're off to an angle so he can't hit you and you can hit him. That's boxing. Boxing's about hitting and not getting hit. That's what boxing is. And that's what. So when I say Floyd is that good, when I keep on talking about Floyd Mayweather, when you see Barry Robinson talking about Floyd Mayweather, when I just watched Coach Eric Bradley, because, you know, I want to do a fight at the end of this year. Coach Eric Bradley, and he was referring to Floyd Mayweather. You know why he refer to Floyd Mayweather so much? And y'all, a lot of y'all don't like Floyd Mayweather. Whatever. It ain't because we fanboys. It's because the man actually did everything that you would want a boxer to do. I'm not saying he's the inventor of everything. I'm saying he did the right stuff. How he fought. It's the correct way to do certain things. So that if you getting into boxing, me, 46, getting into boxing, I have a good example so my ass don't have to get hurt really, really, really bad. And the only reason you ain't going to get hurt really, really bad is if you got defense, ladies and gentlemen. I preach defense because it's very important. In everything you do, this is the hurt business. You need to protect yourself at all times. What did it say? They didn't tell you hit your opponent as much as you can. No, they said protect yourself at all times. That's the #1 rule in boxing. Before any other rule, protect yourself at all. You know what that is? That's defense, ladies and gentlemen. Shout out to my brother Troy King, who talks about this. Those are real channels. Troy King's channel is a real channel. Coach Eric Bradley is a real channel. You really want to know about boxing, you go to those channels. You go to Coach Barry Robinson. You go to World Class Boxing with Tom Yankovic. Yannick, Yaznik, something like that. Anyway, the trailer of Roy Jones Jr. Sorry about messing up your name, Tom. The point being, we can be fans and we can talk and enjoy fandom of boxing. Nothing's wrong with that. But at the end of the day, if you have not stepped inside of that squared circle, you will not understand how important defense is. Very important. Okay? Yes, you want to entertain people so you have offense. Of course. Of course. But defense keeps you alive. Defense is very important for you so that you can entertain the other people. You can't entertain if you're dead. And you can't entertain if you're knocked out. And you can't entertain if you're injured by a punch or a shot or something. You can't. So you must have defense with your offense. With your offense. And there are fundamental things in boxing you just must know. And I don't care what successful boxer you find in boxing. All of those top boxers, they got defense. You know the boxers that you guys say can take a punch? They got defense. They ain't taking a whole combination of punches to the face. That ain't happening. You'll never see that. You get one good punch, but you're not going to get a second one. I don't care how tough they are. They know to either ride it. They know how to parry it. Or block it. As tough as they may look, the one thing they understand in the back of their mind says, I can't take two of those punches. Not back to back. Okay? Think about what I'm saying. You think about the great Jake LaMotta, who was a boxer. You could see he had the boxing stance and everything. The little crouch. You know, jab low to eye. Crouch coming in. And even in the St. Valentine's Massacre with Sugar Ray Robinson, that motherfucker wasn't going to go down. He was never going to go down. Why? And he was mocking. He was saying, motherfucker, that's all you got? You know why he was able to do that? Because even though his face was getting blue, and he was taking a lot of punishment, he was able to do that because he knew how to ride, parry, and catch punches. He wasn't just taking them flush shots. When you see him rock back like that from a punch, because he just rode the punch. If you just stand right here, and a guy hits you with a punch right here, in your face, boom, okay? You've taken a lot more than if you was to snap back with that punch. As to ride with it. Okay? If Sugar Ray Robinson hit Jake LaMotta, really hit him, and Jake LaMotta didn't move out the way of that punch or ride that punch, Jake LaMotta would not only have a broken nose, pieces of his nose would have gone up into his brain and killed him. He'd have been dead. The way how Sugar Ray Robinson was so savage at that point in time. And you see his teeth snared and everything. And he really cranking it, right? Sugar Ray Robinson, by the way, killed a guy in the ring. Let's not forget that. He killed a guy in the ring. Killed him. Dead. Good boxer. Killed him. Okay? Why did he not kill Jake LaMotta? Because he rolled punches. He had defense. He had defense. It might not look that way, but he did. Okay? And Jake LaMotta talked about it on a show, I think it was. I'm going to talk about another one. And the boxers that kill people in the rings. Sergey Kovalev killed a guy in the ring. Killed a guy in the ring. How come he didn't kill Andre Ward? How come he didn't kill Bernard Hopkins? Defense. Defense. He didn't even knock him out. Right? He knocked Bernard Hopkins down twice, but defense. And this one, you talking about a damn near 50-year-old man still boxing. Archie Moore. You know how much killers Archie Moore faced? Rocky Marciano. Knocked him out cold. But the point is, Archie Moore had defense. Defense. Okay? And that's why I'm never worried about Canelo. Canelo is never going to get stopped by nobody because Canelo got defense. I'm not worried about Caleb Plant. Canelo's not stopping Caleb Plant. The fight might look something like a Danny Jacobs fight, but just Caleb Plant's a lot sharper. Doesn't have as much experience, but he's a lot sharper. But it's more like a Danny Jacobs fight we're going to look at. Except, if Caleb starts fast, and he starts well, well, gonna be an interesting fight. Caleb might come back with undisputed. He might beat Canelo. It's very possible. If he, but you gotta maintain it. You gotta wonder. You gotta be smart enough to know what pace he should go at, and all of these things. So we'll see. But all I'm saying is, I'm not saying that Caleb Plant will win the fight. I didn't go there because Canelo has a lot of experience. But what I can say to you is, Caleb Plant is not going to get stopped by Canelo. Canelo's not stopping Caleb Plant. All right? He's not afraid of Caleb Plant. He's not afraid of Canelo. He's been talking mad shit at Canelo. He intends to back up his shit. And he intends to become undisputed champion. So all of these ingredients lead for a very intriguing fight in which Canelo, who is, pound for pound #1 and he's king on his throne, can he stave off this kid who's going to be coming for him? He's going to come in to take what he thinks is his, and he's going to take it from him if he can. And he has the skills and abilities to do so. He does, without a shadow of a doubt. And he has the defense to do so. And the one thing I'm going to say to Caleb is, whatever you do, don't play into Canelo's game. Canelo's going to try and get you to react to him. But you are a counterpuncher as well. And you have good footwork. So you should always be first. No matter what. Canelo's a counterpuncher. Let's not forget that as well. And he's a good boxer. Very good boxer. But you have to be first. The key is to be first. Don't be sleeping. Like how Billy Joe Saunders was trying to figure out who he was. When shout out to Neg Arawak. It's going to be a good fight. You got to be first. Whoever is first going to dictate. And if Caleb can be first, he's going to dictate this fight. Especially if he can consistently be first. Because that's one thing to, say we can be first. Yeah, you start off the fight being first and it all looks good. And then down the stretch, you're not being first anymore. Canelo's taken over and made his adjustments. And he's coming at you, right? Now, I'm a Canelo fan, as y'all know. But in this fight, I suspected, I all kind of figured out in my mind that Caleb Plant is the real deal. And a lot of people are talking down Caleb Plant like if he's nothing, it's going to be easy work for Canelo. And I'm like, are you nuts? Now, I said that Billy Joe Saunders was the best super middleweight out there. I did not take into account that Billy Joe Saunders was going to not have confidence in his abilities and skills. Billy Joe Saunders has everything to beat a Canelo. He just didn't have the confidence. He really didn't. He was afraid of Canelo. And the moment was too big for him. And so he choked on it. And Canelo was able to do whatever he wanted to for the first 3 rounds. By the time Billy Joe Saunders caught himself and said, you know what, I could box this dude. I could actually. And he started, changing levels and stuff, popping the jab. And he was really starting to work Canelo. But guess what? Canelo landed a ton of buddy shots on him already. So he was gassed. He was like, and then already Billy Joe Saunders is not one of the guys who's the best conditioned for fights, drops a lot of weight, blows up in between fights. So he was gassed. So So he was showed some signs that he could counter Canelo. You know, he threw that counter left hook that caught Canelo while Canelo was trying to throw his right hand or something. Left hook, right hand, whatever it was, and he slipped it and countered. He showed glimpses of what he could have done to Canelo. What would have made the fight a 50-50 fight? But his conditioning let him down, and his confidence let him down. By the time he figured out, hey, I could actually handle this dude, it was too late. You're taking too much punishment to the body. Canelo had invested to the body to slow him down. And that's the same strategy Canelo's going to do against Billy Joe Saunders. He's going to go to the body, of course, or whatever he can get. He's going to try and be sharp in his counterpunching. And, but you know, in boxing, Neg Arawak says, I haven't spoken in your chat in a long. I used to go by Afro-American. Oh, shout out to you, brother. Negro Arawak. All right, man. I'm not Arawak. I'm Carib. I don't know if you know what Arawak is. Arawak, man. That's a native tribe. The key is to keep the jab active. Not only the jab. I mean, yes. You got to keep the jab active. That's correct. In the spirit of Charlie Burley, Andre Ward, Caleb Plant needs to keep the jab active. Yeah, absolutely. Feinting the jab. You saw what Dennis Ugas did with the jab. You know, the jab is the key weapon. Like I said, Thomas Hearns, I don't know what happened to him. Thomas Hearns could have beaten Marvin Hagler easy, if he just popped the jab and worked the jab, not to the head. Don't go head on him. Don't go head on him. Yeah, you can hit him in a beaner, but he probably have a hard beaner. But I don't care if you're a Mexican fighter. I don't care if you're an American fighter. I don't care if you're a Russian fighter. Go to the body. Go to the kitchen sink. Take that air out the tires. You know, that's what you need to be doing. And so when I saw, same thing with Plant. Canelo don't like getting hit to the body. Nobody likes getting hit to the body. He's well conditioned, but hit him in the body. First jab to the pit. Sink it in there. Let him know you're not just stepping to me anyhow, how you want to step. Now, we know Canelo uses virtual distancing, so he can step back from a jab or whatever. But you set it up. You set up the jab. You know, start popping into his head, you know, and he going to try and lean in with the guard thing. You know what I'm saying? You step around him. You know, you step around him. Turn him. Okay, we're gonna turn you. We're going to turn you a little bit. Okay, we're going to turn you. We're going to turn you. I'm gonna feint this way, go this way. I'm gonna feint this way, go this way. Feint this way, spear jab you. Right? I'm a southpaw, so I'm gonna show you what I mean. So I'm circling the guy. I'm circling him. I'm circling him. Let me circle him to my power hand like this, right? So I'm circling him this way, right? Now, as I'm circling him, all right, I decide, because I'm circling. So I'm circling this way, right? You see that? You see how I'm circling? Right there. So let's say I'm circling you this way, right? To my power hand, which will be to your right hand. Okay, I'm going to your right. Right? Now I'm a southpaw, so this is a little bit different, but so I do like this, and then I do like this, and then I come back here, right? Pop, right? And I pop the jab. So the idea is you don't circle and just keep on circling one way. You know, you change them up. You change them up. You feint. I feint like I'm going to go this way, and then I go this way, and then I come back this way. The idea behind it is, and these are things, you know, you look at any really good boxer who really got the whole package. A boxer who can mix his offense with his defense seamlessly. A thinking fighter, yes. We call them thinking fighters, that is. Make you think. But you got to make Canelo second guess himself. And you're not going to get him. It's not about power. They always say, oh, Caleb Plant need to have all this power. Not really. What he need to have is he need to have the ability to not be predictable. Right? Because what you want to do is catch Canelo off guard. You want to catch him when he ain't expecting the punch. Because those are the punches that hurt the most. Those are the punches that actually can do more damage. It's the punch that the boxer did not expect, so he didn't brace for it. So his body, his muscles and everything was relaxed, and you sink it right into the tissue. I mean, you go right in. Like, so when Canelo's on the verge of attacking, you catch him with it. When he suspects that you're going to go this way, you set him up, set him up, set him up, set him up. Okay. He thinks I'm going this way. He thinks I'm going this way. I'm going to make him do it again. I'm going to do it 3 times just to make sure he gets it. So you got the program. So you know what you want to do. And as he steps in to throw that left hook, let me show you. I got to do it in the orthodox stance, right? I'm going to show you what you do to a left hook. A guy that loves the left hook, right? Here I am. He throws the left hook, right? Huh? Ha! Catch it. Shoot it. Bet you don't throw that left hook. He thinks twice to throw that left hook after that. You catch him if he go into the body. So you all here, body head. So even if he come with the left hook to the head here, catch it. Catch it. Catch it. Ha! Now. Right there. Now. Right there. Okay? Yeah? So they don't understand how easy it is to handle guys who are good. He's a good hooker. That's great. Good hooker. That's great. Catch and shoot. Slip and slide. Roll under. Roll around. Roll in. Roll out. Right? Defense. That's why you need to have defense. Because off of that defense comes your offense. Because the hole is going to be in that guy's offense for you to exploit. That's why you need defense. Go watch Winky Wright versus Sugar Shane Mosley. Peekaboo, right? Just keeping it nice and tight. Nice and tight. And then, choop, there goes the jab. Right? Mosley throw off the right hand. Wow. Jab. Boom. Right for right. Winky Wright. Right? Defense. Off of your defense will always come offense. Sometimes, you know, you gotta wait a little bit more. Let the guy get used to it. Let him get confident. Let him get confident in his offense. He's throwing. You just watching him, but he's throwing, right? And then he throws again, and in the middle of the combination, let's say he's throwing, he gets more bold. He gets more confident, and he's throwing combinations now. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You understand? Right in the middle of that combination. I bet you he stopped. He frees up. And as he freezes up, pop out. Once again. That's fighting. That's how you get him. Bet you he respect you from there on in. He ain't gonna just recklessly come in. Right? Manny Pacquiao, round 2 versus Floyd Mayweather. Came in with that same combination he went at Keith Thurman with. And Floyd check hooked him. Stepped to the corner, check hooked him. He went into the turnbuckle. Never did it again. He didn't launch in like that. He wasn't playing that. He respected Floyd from then on. First round. Mayweather circling around Pacquiao. Pacquiao gets the lead foot position. Double jabs coming in. And Floyd turns into it. Rotates right into it. Boom! To the head. That was it. Disciplined. Sharp punching. It's totally different. It's not just about speed and power. Oh, he could crush a guy with a skull. Well, yeah, but... Caleb Plant versus Usategui. Usategui's coming in on Caleb Plant, right up in his face, squared up and everything. Boom, left hook. Dropped him. Andre Ward versus the Cuban kid. Forgot what his name is. Cuban kid's coming he's all over Andre Ward. Ward's on the ropes. And the Cuban kid, he opens up with the right hand. As he throws his right hand, check up. Puts him down. Ricky Hatton versus Floyd Mayweather. Ricky Hatton coming in with steam. Slips off to the side. Throws his right hand lead. Floyd check hooks him and comes out. Back. Runs him into the turnbuckle, right? Defense. Listen to me carefully. Defense. It's defense that allowed that to happen. It's offense and defense. check hooks can be deadly weapons. Sugar Ray Robinson versus Gene Fullmer, 1950 something. Fulmer's going in for the kill. Robinson's moving backwards. He hits him first with a lead right to the body. Whap! Comes back out. So that eggs who Fulmer on. I gotta get him back. I gotta get him back. Fulmer comes up, goes to load up that left hook. You can see he's loading up to crank the body this way. And what does Sugar Ray Robinson do? He steps in. Whoop! Check hook. Knocks him out cold. Because Fulmer's whole body weight is going into the punch. Whap! Defense. Yeah, that's boxing. And a lot of people don't understand that defense affords you more time to put together your offense. Now, people say, oh, well, defensive fighters, they don't take risks. They always take risks. But they are calculated risks. I remember watching Andre Ward versus Chad Dawson. Great defensive fighter, by the way. Chad Dawson was a great defensive fighter. Not great, but you know what I mean. I mean, he's good guy. Fundamentally everything. He had the whole package. Southpaw. And Ward kept going in and out. In and out. He's the smaller guy. If Chad Dawson landed that left hand, Ward is going to sleep. People don't realize that. Chad Dawson hit like a freight train for Ward. Ward is much smaller than he is. 168 pounder versus 175 pounder. 175 pounder, yeah, he's weight trained, but the 175 pounder got power early in the fight. Chad Dawson. You can see Ward's punches, even though he drops Dawson, Dawson's like unfazed. It's almost like it was like a flash knockdown. Okay, Dawson's significantly bigger than Ward. He can take Ward's punches. What does Ward drop Dawson with? All the while, Ward's watching out for Dawson's left hand, right? Using his jab where he can. Dawson's keeping him off with his jab where he can. Ward is touching Dawson's jab, touching Dawson to keep it at home, so Dawson can't even pop his jab, right? Defense. You're taking away a guy's weapon by what? Touching the weapon. Touching the weapon. I'm going to keep it at home. I'm going to keep my jab right up here. It's called a touch jab. What does a touch jab do? A touch jab helps you to locate how far away a guy is from you, as well as at the same time keep his hands at home, because your hands are out there. So he doesn't have a clear-cut path to you because you're slightly blinding him while you're touch jabbing him. Okay? Defense. All of this is defense. And touch jab is kind of an offensive weapon at the same time, because I can touch jab and then just smack a hard jab over the touch jab. I can just go over your jab and hit you with it. Okay? So there's a lot of things going on there. But the point behind it is he was touch jabbing Chad Dawson, so Chad Dawson couldn't throw his jab, which means all he got is the lead left. And guess where the lead left is? It's the furthest punch away from you. And if I angle myself correctly, I can actually throw a lead right to your gut and get out the way, because I'm active. So I got a rhythm. I'm keeping you at home while I'm actually angling myself to get a little closer to you. Then what? To the stomach, right? Because I'm going to go to the body. I don't care about your head. I care about your body. Smart boxing. Defense. Defense affords all those things. Because what am I doing? I'm keeping your hands at home. What am I doing? I'm getting closer to you and you don't realize it. What am I doing? What am I doing? I'm setting you up for a right hand to the body and you ain't even seeing it. You're busy occupied with what I'm doing with your jabbing hand. Defense. So, when people say, I was listening to dumbass Larry Merchant saying how Andre Ward and Chad Dawson ain't doing nothing. Meanwhile, Andre Ward is busy keeping Chad Dawson's hand at home, and he's creeping in, closing the distance between himself and Chad Dawson. And neither Larry Merchant nor Jim Lampley can see that. All they're busy saying is, oh, they're not fighting. There's nothing going on here. Now, when you have that kind of dumb commentary, Because people don't understand what the boxers are doing. So that our announcers cannot enlighten us on what the boxers are doing. That is when boxing becomes stupider and stupider. I remember the days, Howard Cosell, not really a boxing guy. But at least he's calling the plays. He's calling the plays. Why? Because boxing came from radio, where they had to call the plays. Right hand by ball. There's, he steps around him, and there he is. He goes into the pocket, and there he is, a right to the left, and a right to the left. Because they had to comment on the fight. Okay? They had to give you social commentary on the boxing because they had to call play-by-play. Jim Lampley's the worst guy in the world to call play-by-play. Great right hand, Baba. He didn't even hit, though. The right hand didn't even land, okay? And then 375 body punches later, Jim Lampley's finally calling the first body punch he saw, right? Because these guys don't call body punches, right? Unless it's really a crunching one and the guy falls down. I remember two commentators watching a boxing fight. I was like, God damn, look at that left hook. Commentators didn't see nothing, right? They didn't see nothing. They're like, oh man, and he's not mounting any offense whatsoever. And I'm like, what is he talking about? Dude just landed a brutal left hook on, I think it was Ricky Hatton versus Juan Urango. Urango landed a hell of a left hook on Ricky Hatton. Ricky Hatton doubled over. And these motherfuckers couldn't see that. They're like, Urango's not doing anything. I'm like, what? You know? And yeah, okay, Urango was slow and whatever. But that's the problem with boxing. The problem with boxing is, if you're a boxing head, a real boxing head, the fans don't know what the fuck they're watching. And the commentators don't know what the fuck they're watching. And when you got two people that don't know what the fuck they're watching, the blind leading the blind, you're going to have boxing falling and falling and falling. Because almost any other sport, the announcers actually can call play-by-play. Because they know what's going on. At least to some detail. The one thing I appreciated about Al Bernstein, and I will say this all the time, I don't agree with everything he says, is Al Bernstein understands he's not an expert in the sport of boxing, even though he's been around it for so long. And he defers to somebody who understands what's going on. And so what you want about Paulie Malignaggi, he's racist, whatever, blah, 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 blah. At the end of the day, that motherfucker can call play-by-play. Paulie Malignaggi can call play-by-play. Okay? That's one thing I can tell you. And the other thing I want to tell you guys is, and it's beautiful about boxing, is when you can call play-by-play, or even beyond that, say what this guy is setting up to do. Like Roy Jones Jr. could, George Foreman could, Emmanuel Stewart could. Because these guys actually train guys, or they be in boxing. When you can call play-by-play, that's the best thing in the world. Because that's what we want to know. We want to know play-by-play. And we want to know how this fight is shaping up. We don't want to see the obvious. We want to know how it's panning out to what's happening. The glorious sport of boxing. You know? And so that's what we want. Because when you have more knowledge of a sport, now you won't say, oh, he's running. I go on so many forums, groups, and people say the dumbest things ever. They chastised Guillermo Rigondeaux for excessively moving in a fight where he didn't have to excessively move like that. Okay? To be fair. But they criticize him for that. Not understanding this guy's a veteran. This guy's an old dude. How old is Guillermo Rigondeaux? 40-something years old? He's old. Ninja's supposed to try and protect yourself at all times. That's what boxing is. Yes, he has to entertain the fans. But he would be a fool if he cut short some of his years of his life he could have because he wants to entertain the fans and get his ass knocked out. Why? Why? What does that prove? If I was in Guillermo Rigondeaux's situation, who's to say I wouldn't do the same thing? In fact, almost all them fans, if they had the skill set that Guillermo Rigondeaux had, most of them, I believe about 90% of them would do exactly what he was doing. They admire a guy who can fight in the trenches. They admire that. But do they have the constitution to take those punches that John Casimiro was throwing? No. They'd either get stopped, or they would do exactly what Guillermo Rigondeaux was doing. They would run. Okay? So let's not pretend like, oh, I could have done something different. You wasn't going to do nothing different. These guys built and made a certain way. And maybe Rigo's not a guy who's that confrontational. Especially if he knows, hey, this guy got some heat. I'm not going to stick around. So I'm not mad at Rigo. I'm not mad. And I give John Casimiro the highest respect and the balls to step in with such a classy fighter. Go in there, run 12 rounds, and not give up. And whenever you can get your trades in, you get your licks in, your little body punches, left hook to the body, straight rights to the body. And he was doing the right things. He was going to the body. But the problem with John Casimiro is he did not know, he couldn't figure out how to cut off the rein. Or get Rigondeaux to engage him. So he stopped moving. He was like, come to me, come to me, come to me. Yeah, I mean, so, my point anyway is this. Defense is a very important thing in boxing. I cannot emphasize that enough. I'm not worried for Caleb Plant if he was to face David Benavidez. You know why? He got defense. And David Benavidez, he's not a slacker himself. He got some decent defense. But he gets hit. Anytime, you know why I say Floyd would beat 90% of the fighters now and in the past? You know why I say that? Because he's got defense, ladies and gentlemen. The guys that beat Floyd going to be guys, not Maidana, not Jose Luis Castillo. They cool, but no. They're never going to beat Floyd. Never. 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 A fighter who beats Floyd Mayweather has got to make him miss and got to make him pay. A fighter who has defense. I said Mike McCallum. Y'all shot Mike McCallum. He's slow. Blah, blah, blah. No. Don't understand. It has nothing to do with speed. It has to do with fundamentally sound defense. Mike McCallum never been stopped. A fighter like James Toney give Floyd problems. Give him big problems. Big problems. Yes, James Toney didn't move his feet too much. But he's not easy to hit. He just isn't easy to hit. I mean, Roy caught him once in the entire fight. Right? And he still didn't catch him good enough. Got James Toney staggering and stuff, but he didn't really catch him good. You could put him down if you caught him good. He still didn't catch him good. Slippery guy. Slippery. Slippery right in front of you and you can't hit him. James Toney. Mike McCallum versus James Toney. First fight. Great fight. I thought James Toney won it. He edged it out in the end. He was really landing some bombs on Mike McCallum. But the point is, Mike McCallum, 35 years old, facing a young, 20-something-year-old James Toney. Okay? And the old guy giving this young guy all kinds of problems. Right? Defense. Say it with me. Defense wins you fights. I don't care what nobody say. I listen to Boom Boom Mancini. He a cool dude. Oh yeah, offense really. You still gotta. Nah, yeah. Listen, homie. You not listening, Boom Boom. Because if you was listening, you would have win more fights. You wouldn't have got your ass beat by certain fighters. Okay, listen to me, Boom Boom. Defense wins you fights. Okay, along with that defense is offense. That's integrated into defense. Because when you're a defensive fighter, everything you do is with it's defense centric. You throw your combinations, but you got defense. You don't want this guy to hit you back. So you get off yours, but you pop the jab. You know, that's a defense and offense at the same time. You throw the right hand lead, it's defense and offense at the same time with the evasive maneuver or block or whatever. Defense. Defense wins you fights. Okay? You think the Chicago Bulls, I'm not talking about this is old school stuff, but the Chicago Bulls, what was it? Defense. And off of the defense came their offense. They wasn't the highest scoring team. They wasn't the highest scoring team in the league. I think it was the Phoenix Suns was the highest scoring team. But they didn't have great defense. You can be a great offensive fighter. Throw every single punch in the book. Throw a lot of punches. Right? Against a defensive fighter, you're never going to throw that many punches. Never. Never. Manny Pacquiao versus Timothy Bradley. Manny Pacquiao versus Marlon Marquez. Manny Pacquiao versus Floyd Mayweather. His punch stats was always between 400 and 500 punches thrown. And Manny Pacquiao can get up to 800 punches, right? 1,000 punches, right? We're talking about guys who are great defensive fighters. Joshua Clottey's not a great defensive fighter. Why? Yeah, you don't hit him, but his defense is not integrated with offense. What's his name? Something Strickland. Reggie Strickland, right? Reggie Strickland is not a great defensive fighter. He's got good defense, but it's not integrated into offense. A great defensive fighter integrates his defense into his offense. So his offense is defensively responsible. But he's going to have offense. He's got to have offense. You got to have offense, okay? But even so, what wins you the fight, because you're going to be throwing punches, your opponent's going to be throwing punches. That is a given. If you don't throw punches, you're not going to win the fight, right? The difference between a guy who's throwing punches and another guy who's throwing punches is defense. It's defense. What helps me to dictate a fight? What helps me get control of a fight? It's defense. Yes, I do throw offense. Of course, everybody throws offense. It's boxing. To box, you have to throw punches, right? To box, you can't box without throwing punches. So if you're just there, you're dancing. Maybe you're just doing a dance, but you ain't doing nothing, right? You gotta to box. You gotta throw something, right? So it's a given that you're gonna have offense, but do you have that defense? That's what beats Floyd. You got to have a defensive fighter who's difficult to hit. Floyd can't hit him when he wants. Emmanuel Burton. Ride punches, roll punches, ride punches, roll punches. Did it beautiful. Roll, ride, 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 roll, roll, ride, 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 roll. Right? That was Emmanuel Burton. And he'd blow a kiss at you after. Right? Emmanuel Burton. Beautiful. They call him Drunken Master, but he got those angles down pat. He got those moves down pat. Neg Arawak says, I give Caleb Plant a good shot. Yeah, for sure. That's a 50-50 fight. Neg Arawak says, there is only 3 other fighters I think can beat Canelo if we take size out of the equation. Crawford, Spence, Andre Ward. I think Demetrius Andrade is another threat. Demetrius Andrade is another threat, and yeah. Jamal Charlo, he's sharp, and he's getting better. And, over time, we'll see. He's another one of those guys. He learned how to deal with inside fighters and stuff. So he's developing his game. Charlo gets some little size put on him. Fight 1 or 2 168 fights, pound fights, and he would do well against Canelo. But Demetrius Andrade, that's another one. My guys who I thought could beat Canelo was Andre, Billy Joe Saunders, Caleb Plant. Yeah, those were the guys. Saunders let me down when he didn't show up for the face-off. I knew this motherfucker just be stalling. He don't want to fight. He don't want to fight. He don't want to fight Canelo, right? So he let me down. He had the skills to beat Canelo, but he don't have the conditioning and he don't have the confidence, right? So he was left by the wayside. And we saw his ability show up in rounds 4 and 5. I think it was 4 and 5. And then 6 and 7, Canelo took back over. Or was it 7 and 8? 7 and 8, Canelo took back over. Saunders was doing something for 4, 5, 6. And I guess after that, he was gassed. And Canelo broke his eye socket. Right? But he wasn't going to break Billy Joe Saunders' eye socket if Billy Joe Saunders had the energy and the gas in the tank and he started to fight more assertively. And dictated with his left hand and his jab, his right jab that he had. But he didn't do that. He started with lacking confidence, and Canelo was just dropping them body shots in. And Canelo started off with a left hook to the body. That's how he started the fight. Then he threw it left right. Canelo didn't start with no jab. I love Canelo. I gotta tell you, I love the guy. Okay, PDs, I hope not. I hope he's not using PDs. I hope Reynoso they not doing that. That'd be, but you know, signs show that they might be doing it, and fuck them. You know what I'm saying? I'm serious. But Canelo, man, you gotta love Canelo, man. You gotta love Canelo. You gotta love what he's evolved into. He does all kinds of things in there. It's fun to watch. I just wish, you know, why if they're cheating, man, he ain't got confidence in his skills. If you gotta cheat to make weight and all these, I don't care what you say. There's no ifs or buts about this. You can't be experimenting with these things. You can't be using clenbuterol and all this stuff. You can't be doing that. And I've been defending this guy, you know, I've been defending this guy. And now I see that it's like your camp is dirty. Man, screw you if that's it. You know, but he does some some brilliant little things in there. I love Canelo, you know. But Caleb Plant's one of the guys I said it, I'll stay consistent to it. Caleb Plant's a guy that can beat Canelo. He has everything necessary. And people don't understand when I say this. You know, I try to explain to people now about defense, and I demonstrate a couple things about defense so people understand that these motherfuckers that I talk about, they're not a joke. They know a lot of stuff to offset your offense and to dictate their offense and get you to fight their fight. You know. And guys like Caleb Plant, guys like Andre Ward, guys like Floyd, you know, even Canelo, guys like Canelo, they can do a lot of things, you know, at different ranges and they can do all kinds of stuff. So it's not just, you know, and this is why if Canelo is cheating, I would be so pissed because, you know, why? You know, you got so much. It's like Tyson Fury. When Tyson Fury used the stands along, whatever it was. I'm so pissed with this guy. This guy got so much ability. He's got so much skills. Why you gotta cheat on top of that? You know, you really don't believe in yourself. And so, it really gets to me. It gets to me. You know, why are you trying to get an edge? You don't need that edge. You got skills. You really do have skills. And if I could see it, and if all those other people could see it, why the hell are you using some kind of drug? I don't get it. I really don't. You know, Paulie Malignaggi didn't get it either. He was a clean fighter. I can tell you that. Paulie was a clean fighter. And Paulie fought his ass off. And I mean, Paulie took some punishment, which, you know, usually, I remember the Cotto fight with Paulie, and Paulie took some real punishment, man. He was getting beat up really, really bad. And I said to myself, this is real deal. This dude don't quit. He got no quit in him. You know, his hands are bad, but he ain't got no quit. You gotta give Paulie his props, man. 2 divisional world champion. You know what I'm saying? Bad boy. Fought everybody. You know, everybody he could face, he fought. You know, and clean. We could always say Paulie was clean. He was a clean fighter. You know, and so it's a slap in the face when these clean fighters are fighting dirty fighters, guys who didn't have that kind of confidence, felt they needed to get an edge. Right? I remember my dude, what's his name? Tyron Woodley. He was saying, man, in the cage, man, I fought guys who was not clean. Well, I know they wasn't clean. But I fought them anyway. You know, you got to give high props to them kind of dudes. Tyron Woodley, you know. And he suspects again Jake Paul of taking something. It kind of looks that way. Jake Paul, you know, he kind of looked leathery, you know, strong, leathery looking. So maybe he was taking something. But Tyron Woodley, man, perfectionist. And another thing you'll notice about guys like Tyron Woodley, I mean, Jake Paul, shout out to him, though. Tyron Woodley always in shape. Always in shape, keep himself in shape, always ready. You got to stay ready, ladies and gentlemen. You know, I was listening to Coach Eric Bradley again. If y'all don't know Coach Eric Bradley, the Fight Doctor, check it out. Eric Bradley, Master Boxing. Master Boxing, that's what he. And Coach Bradley was saying, you always have to be ready. You never know what they call you for. Boxing is a sport where, unexpected happens. Dennis Ugas was training for Fabian Maidana. And the Pacquiao fight presented itself. And the Maidana fight fell through, right? And hey, shout out to Manny Pacquiao, by the way. Manny Pacquiao saying that he's taking on the rematch with Dennis Ugas. Shout out to you, bro. Pacquiao, man. This is to Pacquiao. Pacquiao, man, I like your spirit, man. You don't give up. And even if you don't beat Dennis Ugas in the rematch, I know you're gonna do better. Mosley, he did a little bit better against Winky Wright and against Vernon Forrest. You know, he fought a much more tactical fight, so he didn't get dropped or nothing. And I'm just saying the same thing with Pacquiao. Maybe he doesn't beat Dennis Ugas, right? Maybe he does, because Dennis Ugas is much more than he appears. People think he's just this. No, he beat Terrence Crawford. Dennis Ugas beat Terrence Crawford. Okay, he's no pushover. Okay, so just for people to know, it's not. It's, you know, he's got a lot of pedigree in him. But to this point, Dennis Ugas versus Pacquiao 2, I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna pay for that. You know why? Because I think that Pacquiao, he has that mindset that I can do better, and I can beat this dude. And I'm gonna tell you something. That mentally will be a good thing if he could get the win or squeak a win by or something, because that's the style that has haunted Pacquiao for his entire career. Eric Morales outboxed him. Juan Manuel Marquez outboxed him. In the first fight they had, he basically won most of the rounds. That's how he won the fight. Marquez outboxed him. Right? We got Timothy Bradley outboxed him the first time. And people say, but Bradley didn't win that fight. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. He did. Alright? Bradley won 2/3 of the round. Pacquiao won the last 30 seconds. No, you can't win a fight winning the last 30 seconds of a round. So the judges looked at what Bradley was doing continuously. Yeah, the punch output might look like Pacquiao landed more punches, but did he land more punches throughout the entire round? No! He was throwing flurries at the end, so of course he's going to throw a lot of punches. Now they say he landed a lot more. I don't think about it. I don't agree with that, but whatever. Point is, Pacquiao tried to steal rounds, right? Coast and steal rounds. No, you can't do that. Bradley doing all the work, all those different rounds. Come on, man. And then he came on strong at the end of the fight. No. And I don't care what nobody say. Timothy Bradley won that fight. Jeff Horn won the fight against Pacquiao too, right? But anyway, back to what I was saying. Bradley gave him problems. Mayweather gave him problems. Ugas gave him problems. The only guy who did not really box him, but kind of boxed him, was Jeff Horn. Jeff Horn, he would use the footwork that Pacquiao had. He mirrored Pacquiao's movements to get to the inside. So he studied Pacquiao. He studied how Pacquiao moved his feet. And Jeff Horn would move his feet to counter that movement and get to the inside of Pacquiao. So it was kind of like a mirror image of Pacquiao. You know, if you have a fighter who's not the best boxer in the world, and he's going to face a boxer that's superior to him, you mirror that boxer. You know where I learned that from? Buddy McGirt. Buddy McGirt said he mirrored Pernell Whitaker. Anything Pernell Whitaker did, he did. Make sure you got the skill set to do it, though. He mirrored it. And by mirroring a guy, if Whitaker went low, he went low. If Whitaker circled a certain way, he circled a certain way. You know, mirror the fighter. That's one of the ways. It's not the best thing because the fighter could walk you into a trap, but it's not one of the best ways, but it is something where if you know that this guy can outclass you by miles, you want to mirror some of the things he does and keep the fundamentals of what you do to be able to get the better of him. So whatever he does, you mirror. If you look at all the great fighters, they make adjustments and they mirror the fighter that is giving them the difficulty. So for example, you see Floyd throw that kind of axe-like right hand against Marcos Maidana. He saw Marcos Maidana do it. He started mirroring Marcos Maidana. He started to imitate what Marcos Maidana was doing that was effective and use it back on Marcos Maidana. So these are things that fighters generally do in fights. There's a lot of things. I told you, defense is a huge area. It's not just what you think it is, right? And it's very important. You know, Roger Mayweather, God rest his soul, was teaching people not just to throw punches. He was teaching them how to have a proper stance. He was teaching them how to roll with punches, block punches, slip punches, dip from punches. Right? Swivel from punches. Roll in, roll out, roll in, roll out. Get used to that, you know. Slip, 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 right? Because if you're going to learn to throw something, one, you got to have a good foundation. And two, if you're going to learn to throw something, in boxing, something's going to throw back. If you throw something, somebody's going to throw back at you. Or you might throw at the same time that person's throwing. So what do? You got to have defense. This is not a sport where you just throw and that's it. Something's coming back. Something is coming back. Defense is very important because of that. In boxing, when you go into the ring, you're not the only one throwing punches. There are two people in that ring besides you. One is watching and officiating, and the other is trying to take your head off, knock you out. Not coming in there to play games. They say it's a sport, but it ain't a sport inside of the ring. There are rules, so that's what makes it a sport, but the guy's coming to take your head off. He's not playing around. So you must have defense. Going back to what I said. So with Pacquiao, he's always had a style that gives him problems, right? Counterpunching, right? Ugas, Mayweather, Bradley, Marquez, Morales, right? Oh, that style gives him problems. He has beaten boxers before. Leduaba, Chachai Sasaku, excellent boxer. Power too. Quality thing. Quality boxer. Marco Antonio Barrera, boxer brawler. Right? Eric Morales, boxer brawler. Right? So he has beaten boxers. But the kind of boxer who's a counterpuncher boxer particularly gives him a lot of problems. So what Dennis Ugas did was he fought Manny Pacquiao the way how Floyd fought him. You know, as I said before, circling to Pacquiao's power hand, which takes away, like I said before, takes away the angle at which Pacquiao would usually come in with his power hand, which Timothy Bradley picked up. Probably watched my video, I don't know. But at the end of the day, the important thing is that when you think about this, what I'm saying. Okay? Think about what I'm saying. Excuse me. If Pacquiao can use feints, just feints, use his little jab, his little pop the jab, and feint as if he's coming in, stay outside for a minute, just use composure. Bait the guy coming in. Let him come to you. Don't just stay in the center of the ring. Make him chase you down. Get you to the ropes. Of course, he's not going to overreach and overcommit, but keep your little high guard up, you know, and let him bump you around. And you know, you ride those punches. You know how Pacquiao do. And then counter his ass. Catch him with something. These are the things Pacquiao can do in his game. Just off the top, that, you know, as Teddy Atlas said so correctly. These are the little things you can do in your game that can change the tempo, the rhythm of the fight. Right? It's not just bolt out there and just go gung-ho on him. No. Take your time, bait him, set him up. What is the major weapon that counteracts a jab? Bait and counter. You counter the jab. That's what is kryptonite to a jab, right? So that's why I talk about the lead hand, not just the jab. I talk about multiple things. Shout out to all these great guys here. So yeah, Greg Arwak said keep the jab active. It's very true. I gave Planet a good shot. There's only three. Okay, you talk about the different fighters. Riz Colas is definitely going to be a great fight. Boxer versus boxer puncher. Caleb isn't flat-footed as Canelo. Canelo's not really flat-footed. Canelo walks in. You know, he comes in. He's on his toes, but he does flatten his feet to get the leverage, the power that he needs. But he's very explosive as well. But Canelo's not a flat-footed fighter. I keep on explaining that to people, but they never listen. And he's pretty quick. You know, it's not a flat-footed fighter either. Ricky Hatton was a flat-footed fighter. I was watching Ricky Hatton versus Juan Urango. That motherfucker can move, boy. And he could box. Hatton had some boxing skill in him. He wasn't staying in front of Urango, using different angles, lead rights. I mean, he had everything. He had the jab. He was double jabbing, triple jabbing, lead rights, stepping around him. You know, throwing some really interesting things like left uppercuts. He was throwing right uppercuts. He was throwing right hooks, left hooks to the body. You know, just beautiful stuff. Just throwing a punch and getting out of there. Ricky Hatton actually could box off the back foot pretty well. I didn't know he could box so well. Canelo has crazy reflexes over Caleb. Yeah, Canelo got it. But Canelo baits you into countering you. So he set it up. I really see Caleb making this a great fight off the jab. Yeah. I mean, it could be, you know. I mean, I don't want to go into too much more, but I would say that the jab is an important tool when you know how to use it and when you have the footwork to be able to use it effectively. Because it's not just about jabbing. Because Canelo is a counterpuncher. That's what he loves. He loves that you jab. He loves that you jab. He's like, yeah, pop that jab again. It's like he countered it, right? Because he loves to counter. So Canelo's not your usual Mexican fighter. He's just not. Arguably he's got more skills than Julio Cesar Chavez. Chavez worked the body more, but he's got really crazy ass skills. Canelo got skills. That boy got skills. The Boxing Lunch says, "Hey man, what's up, Tommy Temper? Yes, Anson, has your barber got COVID?" No, it hasn't. I just haven't gone to one yet. I got to do it today though. Musa K says, "I didn't say he was flat-footed. I actually was careful not to say he was. Emphasize Caleb not being as flat-footed as Canelo." Oh, yeah. Because Canelo plants. He plants to throw. Yeah. So Caleb keeps him off balance. Yeah. He can't throw like he wants to. Yeah. I got you. Yes. Caleb got good feet. Good feet. He gonna need them. He gonna need them for the pivot work that he needs to do. He don't need to move all around the ring though. So it's not like excessively. Just stay in the pocket with Canelo if you can, when you can, because when you fight him in the pocket, actually, that's the best way to beat him. Counter him, counter his counters. So that's what you gotta have an answer for him. But you gotta be off on an angle. So you gotta pivot on him as you're doing what you're doing. That's the key. Yeah, man, the corrector cap limit makes it hard to fully word my thoughts. Man, go ahead, man. You say your piece, man. We're almost on 2 hours, though. I got to go out and sell and stuff, and I haven't eaten food yet. But, Caleb Plant, he's got certain tools in the toolbox that will give Canelo problems. I don't know how many of the tools in the toolbox he's going to use. He's going to have to sharpen up some of them tools. He's working with the right guy. Andrew Ward is a good guy to be working with, and Virgil Hunter, because not only did he sharpen up the tools in the toolbox, but Caleb will be able to firsthand deal with a boxer who I think has a lot more experience at the top level than Canelo. So, Andrew Ward, for example, has, he's got really good eyes, 1, 2, and then you got Virgil Hunter, who's got really good eyes. I think Andrew Ward would be a hell of a trainer. Caleb patented a lot of the things he does after Andrew Ward. So that's like his mentor. So it's just great that he's actually linking up with Andrew Ward, and Andrew Ward is giving him certain advice. When I looked at Tyron Woodley, how he fought Jake Paul, the advice that Floyd gave him was great. It's just he didn't when he had Jake Paul hurt, he got caught with a left hook, and he was like, I ain't really, I'm not gonna just ply it in like that. But he should have pressed the action on Jake Paul. He would have gotten Jake Paul in all kinds of problems and probably stopped him, because Woodley can punch. For a little guy like that, he's much smaller than Jake Paul, but he can punch. That boy can punch. And Caleb Plant, he can punch too. Let's not forget he dropped Usiteki twice. He can punch. Okay, he got pop. He may not have. Caleb Truax is a very durable fighter. So, just because he didn't get Caleb Truax out of there, but again, he threw like 3-4 punch combinations, and sometimes he wouldn't finish it off with the 5 or the 6. If he had finished it off with the 5 or the 6, he'd have got him out of there. He'd throw like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then he would play it safe. But sometimes you just gotta go with the 5 and the 6. Go with the 5 and 6. Throw 2 more punches. Drop him. And I guess he was very anxious to get the knockout. It's kind of like when you're trying to press for a knockout, that's when you don't knock out nobody. If you just let it be, let it flow, do what you do, you stop guys, you drop guys, right? So because when I thought about Demetrius Andrade, when he tried to press a guy to knock him out, it took him like a whole bunch of rounds to get the guy out of there. Dropped him multiple times, so he couldn't get him out of there, right? And the key behind it was you're trying to press for it too much. You're looking for it too much. You're going in there saying, I'm going to slay this guy. Not necessary. Just do what you do. And if the opportunity presents itself, go for the kill. And be careful about it. Keep your defense tight and go for the kill. You know what I mean? Run your combinations. You know what I mean? And so, that's the thing about the sport of boxing. It's not, you can't be too emotional about it in that ring. You got to keep yourself under control and do a controlled sort of aggression. Shakur Stevenson, man, is excellent boxer. He's going to be going up against Jamal Herring, right? And when you look at Shakur Stevenson and the controlled aggression, the controlled way in which he dictates, you can see he's a force to reckon with already. And he's so young. I mean, he's like, what, 21, 22, 20, something like that. He's very, very young. So all I'm saying is, when you see fighters like that and you see where they could be, you think about Canelo, where Canelo came from, where Canelo is now is just, miles away from where he began, right? When he began at 15 years old, mostly a boxer, he was dropping guys. They consider him a boxer, but he was really a boxer. And now where he is, he's a very clever pressure fighter. He's a very clever boxer. He's a very clever ring general, and you have to really appreciate how far he's come with the Reynosos. I just hope that the Reynosos keep this fucking sport clean. Don't be like why are we getting this? The PED thing is just really pissing me off, and I think some people are just saying, man, I'm siding with Caleb Plant. Let Caleb Plant win because this motherfucker's cheating. Get this cheat out of the sport. You know what I mean? I can understand that because it gets me so flaming mad. Because the guy is a clever boxer. He really is a clever boxer. He's a clever boxer, but it's like, come on, man, dude. And it makes us question whether, and he looked so kind of ripped, with the Kovalev fight. I was like, what's up with this dude? Why is he so ripped? And then when we look at it, versus Billy Joe Saunders, and he broke Billy Joe Saunders' eye orbital, I'm like, where did he get that power from? You know what I mean? Where did he get that power? Canelo wasn't breaking nobody's eye orbital. Remember Alfredo Angulo? He didn't break his eye orbital, and Alfredo Angulo had gotten his eye damaged, right? He didn't break his. So you suddenly breaking people's eye orbital? You damaging people's shoulders when you punch at them? I mean, what's going on? Where does freak power coming from, right? So I mean, I'm just saying. He ain't gonna win no fight with PEDs. So if he's using PEDs, he's still that's not the determining factor that's gonna get him to win a fight. You gotta fight clever, you gotta fight smart. And Caleb Plant, he roll your shit. He roll your power off. He just roll your power off, and that's the end of that. You know what I'm saying? I don't care if you got bricks in your hands. It don't make a difference. So, and you're not gonna catch Caleb. Once Caleb keeps the pressure on and keeps the activity and the pace on, doesn't tire. He's not even touching him in his face. Shouldn't even let him touch him in his face. You know what I mean? Say you could damage the skull, break the orbital, some shit like that. So, I'm just saying, because boxing, the great Charlie Burley said, there's no such thing as luck in boxing. And he's right. If you know your shit, there is no luck in boxing. Because you know what to do in every single situation. So it's very, very less likely that you would get caught up in those situations. So if Caleb Plant knows his defense really well, there's situations that just won't happen with Caleb Plant that happened with other fighters. Because the other fighters, they didn't cater for every single situation. They wasn't meticulous. They wasn't trying to work with perfection. They weren't trying to work on their defense like that. Callum Smith, his defense is this. That's it. He ain't rolling, he ain't riding, he ain't doing nothing. So yeah, of course your arm gonna get banged up. Right? But you can't do that shit to Floyd. You can't do that shit to Floyd Sr. Old ass Floyd Sr. telling the guy, hit me as hard as you can on his shoulder. Right? People don't understand. This stuff bounces off. You can't do nothing to something that's a surface that just deflects your punch. You're not going to think about it this way. Think about it this way. I take a hammer, right? And I slam that hammer into a slide, right? The sloped part of the slide, right? Sloped part of the slide. And I hit it as hard as I can, but the slow part of the slide is slippery, obviously. So what happens to my hammer? It just goes boom and slides off, right? It don't matter how hard that slide is. If it's smooth, it's slippery, and it's at an angle where I'm throwing my hammer, and it's past a certain critical angle, the hammer just gonna bounce off the slide, right? That's what shell defense is. They make you punch at the shoulder. It don't matter where you punch at the shoulder. You can punch anywhere on the shoulder. Because it's slope at an angle, it's just going to bounce off. And then he gets to counter your ass. Right? And if you say you're going to hook around it, there's the elbow to deal with. Not to mention, he's going to be rolling your punch. Right? So, and if he decides to lift that elbow, see, it's inbuilt as a hook. Watch that. Yeah. So if I want to, I just open out a little bit and I'll hook you. You run in a hook. See? The people don't understand a Philly shell. So I'm going to explain it real simple. Hold on a second. I'll be right back. Okay. Gotta go eat something and then I gotta get out of here. So, break this down real simple, right? I'm in the orthodox stance, right? You can see my shoulder, everything. So, the shell is something like this, right? Here's the thing. This, I can block. And block with this. Okay? If I want to, I pop the jab with this. Right there. Boom. And if I want to, I can hook with this. Right? I can come up the center here and then hook across this way. Right hand, left foot. Okay? Now there's another version to it. There's this. Huh? So I'm jabbing. I can hook off the jab. Right? I can hook off the jab. Or jab. Jab. What? Huh? Alright? So there's a lot. There's a lot to it. You know? Andre Ward uses the extended guard. He don't use the shell. But it's all there. And sometimes Andre will revert to the shell to pop the jab from low to high so you can't see it. So it depends. You can keep it out and extend it. Extend it. That's the extended guard. Jerry Robinson. You know? Or you can keep it where you keep it collapsed. Charlie Burley. Right? Contemporaries at the same time, sort of. Yeah, man. Music K says, I do not want to see Canelo standing in the paint trying to fight Canelo. Caleb standing in the paint trying. Nope. You said Canelo's a counter puncher and a monstrous puncher. No, you gotta fight at mid range. You gotta fight Canelo at mid range. You gotta. At some point, you gotta stay in the pocket and do what you do. Floyd stayed in the pocket and fought Canelo. It's the only way. You gotta counter him. You're going to have to. And Caleb can do it. He know how to bob and weave. He know how to slip and slide. He know how to roll in, roll out. He know how to clinch up. He know how to do it. He know what to do. He'll handle it. It's like defense isn't being taught anymore. Well, it's being taught. Defense is being taught. But the thing about it is the mainstream people and the media are not talking it up. A lot of media and mainstream people say, oh, those fighters, defensive fighters, they don't take no risk. And they cite Rigondeaux, running and rubbish like that. A lot of people think defense is this. They feel defense is that. A lot of people think defense is that, and that's not what defense is. That's an aspect of defense. Is using your feet and bouncing. Ali used to bounce a lot. So a lot of people think defense is bouncing around the ring and popping the jab. It's not defense. That's part of defense. That's an aspect of defense. But defense is like Archie Moore. Jersey Joe Walcott. Right? Jersey Joe Walcott. Huh? Right? Jersey Joe Walcott. Yeah? Yeah? That's how you rock. Archie Moore. Archie Moore. I catch you. I catch you. I catch you. Ha! Yeah? Defense. Huh? Because off of defense comes offense. So, there's a lot of people don't know. They don't understand what defense is. A lot of people don't know what defense is to start with. I could walk to you and have my defense. I could walk to you and have my defense. Defense doesn't mean that. Defense doesn't mean that I have to box going backwards off the back foot. No. A lot of fighters now are being raised on what I call an assembly line, manufactured for what the casual audience wants. What the media feeds them, all offense, going for KOs, limited skill. No, actually, a lot of fighters are actually fighting more like old school. I've seen a lot of them using the shell now. Throwing a lot of punches, yes. Some of them, yeah, some of them are in slugfest and stuff, and it ain't cool. But there's a lot of them that have some defense. They have defense, and a lot more are calculated in how they fight now. And a lot of them are talking a lot smarter. And so you're not seeing actually, if you're looking at a certain crop of fighters, a lot of them are not punch drunk talking. You listen to Shane Mosley, he sound punch drunk, right? You listen to Vernon Forrest when he was alive, he sounded a little bit punch drunk. But boxers today are not so much punch drunk. Even Sugar Ray Robinson used to sound a little punch drunk, right? You look at Sugar Ray Leonard, he doesn't really sound that punch drunk, right? But Tommy Hearns, he's punch drunk, right? You hear the punch drunk. You look at K9 Bundridge, he not sounding punch drunk, right? It's because defense. Defense. You know, he did get knocked down a couple times and get knocked out, but it's still defense. You know? You got to emphasize on defense. Everything come off of defense. Before you could throw a punch, you should be able to know how to move in the ring. Your feet are more important than your hands, because everything comes through the feet. You're going to throw a punch. You can't see my feet, but nonetheless, you're going to throw a punch. If you see my feet, if you've ever done any kind of martial arts, you got to have a solid foundation. Hold on a second. I'm going to let you see my feet a little bit. You got to have a solid foundation, my friend. That should do. Nope, not really. But anyway, maybe if I... Well, kind of see my feet here, right? So when I throw the punch, see? It's coming from my hip and my foot. You can't really see it because you can't see my toes and my feet. But, I don't know. I don't think I could hold the camera and do this. Otherwise I would. No, I can't. But the point is anyway, that it comes from your feet. All the power and talk and everything come from your feet. You got to have a good foundation. They call it a foundation. You see? It comes from your feet. You don't have a good foundation, it don't really matter. You're throwing arm punches. Right? All the great boxers had a good foundation. So it's not just, if I just throw a punch like this, that's an arm punch. That ain't gonna do nothing. But if I throw it off my feet, it's off my foot. See, I pushed off of this foot, and I checked it off of this foot. See? Right? It's coming off of my feet. My power's coming off of my feet. You see? Gotta have a good foundation. If you don't have it off, if you don't have a good foundation, it don't make a difference. You see? So, your feet is everything in boxing. First thing you gotta know is how to stand in boxing. Next thing you need to know is how to move in boxing. And then, after you know how to stand and move in boxing, the next thing you need to know is defense in boxing. You don't start off with offense. You don't start off how to throw a punch. No. This is where you put your hands. Protect your chin. First thing in boxing, after your stance, and after knowing how to move, you know what's next? This defense. Then, and only then, you can throw a punch. Because you need to throw and get back into defense. Your offense to defense transition must be flawless. and it must be quick. Any holes in your defense must be filled. Right? So it's very important. Defense is very important in boxing, but you can't have defense if you have no foundation. And the foundation comes from your feet. See, people always feel boxing is just a hands. It's just throwing hands. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. No. Boxing is about movement and stance and defense before you can even throw a punch. Okay? You got a proper stance. You got to know how to move in there. And off of that movement, you throw punches. Got it? So anybody tell you any other thing, I don't know what the fuck they talking about. And they don't know shit about boxing. Because that's how I learned. Musa K says, you have to counter the counter puncher. Yes, correct. Or fight them the way Errol Spence fought Mikey Garcia, constantly making them reset. Counter punchers don't throw a lot of punches, especially the ones with power. Right. I will, depending on what kind of counter puncher you're talking about. Sean Porter throws a lot of punches. He's a counter puncher. Pacquiao throws a lot of punches. He's a counter puncher. So it depends on what kind of. You had Evander Holyfield was a counter puncher. So I mean, Neg Arawak says that's why I believe Spence can compete with Canelo, because he's gonna make Canelo reset constantly. Yeah, he can box. I mean, Errol can box. Errol can box. And Errol got some beautiful pivot work. I ain't seen nobody do it like Errol. Errol's special. Errol, Gervonta Davis, and they got really good balance, man. Errol, Gervonta Davis, Devin Haney, and Shakur Stevenson got ridiculous footwork. Ridiculous footwork. Them guys got educated feet. You know, everybody always talk about the educated jab. You got to have educated feet to do an educated jab. You know what I'm saying? Because they always talk about hands. Like in boxing, they always talk about hands. It's the feet. The feet make the hands possible. What made Larry Holmes such a great jabber was his fact that he'd go in and out with his feet. He'd shuffle in, shuffle out. And he popped that jab, distributing his weight from either foot to either foot really quickly. Wop, wop. You know? Balance. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of things to boxing, man. There's a lot of things to boxing. And the only way you're going to know that is if you do it. All right? So, yeah. And as I said before, I want to end of this year. I'm trying to get an actual fight. Sign up and get in there and do what I do. I'm recorded too, so you guys can see it. It's been a long time in coming, so it's gonna come. And you guys will see, you guys will see it. It gets me a little bit nervous. I get a little bit nervous thinking about it, but I gotta do it. I gotta do it. And I'm telling y'all this. You know, I hope you guys have respect for the sport. Whether I get knocked out or not, or whatever happens to me, you guys have respect for the sport. Hey, if what I do encourages you to want to make this go at it, do understand something. It's not a sport. You can get badly hurt in there. You can die. Okay? So train as if it was your last day on the face of the earth. Be very careful. I mean, you have to pace yourself and everything. But what I mean is take it very, very seriously. Take it very, very seriously. I don't care what level of fight it might be. Take it very, very seriously. Because you can get really seriously hurt in there and then spend the rest of your life injured. Badly hurt. So be very careful. This is a dangerous sport. And I'm doing it because I just have to. I need to go through that fire. I'm not going to just talk about boxing. Fuck that. I'm going to do boxing. I'm going to do it. Even if it's 1 or 2 fights. It's probably not going to be a bunch of fights. But 1 or 2 fights. And, you know, get my feet wet. So when the fuck I start talking about shit, I know exactly what I'm talking about because I've been there. You know what I mean? If I could still be coherent to talk about it, you know. But it's a risk I'm taking, but it's a calculated risk, and you know, fight smart, fight smart. So that's the goal, and if I fight smart, I should be able to come through this, you know, in one piece. That's the whole idea. That's why I talk about defense so much. I talk about defense so much because it really is important. You know, it's very important. You know, you're not just gonna go in there with no fucking defense and think you're gonna survive. It doesn't make no sense, especially if you're my age. You're not going in there and thinking you're gonna do something. You're gonna get messed up bad. Broken jaw, concussed, you know, brain bleed and all kinds of shit. Because I've never trained as much as those guys, so I better have some fucking defense. Anyways, people, that's what I got for now. This is what you need. So this video was on Caleb Plant versus Canelo, and Canelo knocking out Caleb Plant. Not happening. Okay, it's just not happening. Caleb Plant's not like Billy Joe Saunders. He has confidence. He ain't like Caleb Plant where, you know, you just got a jab. He's not like Sergey Kovalev where, you know, he was dependent on his power, and when he can't work his power, you know, he popped the jab and he just has to stay on the outside. He can't take body punches. This is not the same dude, all right? Caleb Plant is a totally different animal. This is going to be a tougher fight for Canelo, obviously. And whether or not Canelo, because we just don't know. If whether Canelo juicing or not, I don't think so, because if you're using VADA and you got to come out clean, VADA going to pick up something, you know, if he's dirty. So if he's not, you know, if he's above board, at least what he's using gets by VADA, then it's all about, you know, Canelo and Caleb Plant. And I think this is a 50-50 fight. I don't know who exactly will win. This should be the 50-50 fight that we should have gotten with Billy Joe Saunders versus Canelo. You know? And Plant he said he was the best 168 pounder. Now he gets to prove it. So, and get all the marbles. We're talking about all the belts on the line. So this is a great, epic, historic fight. I'm looking forward to it. You know, I hope Canelo relies on his skills and not some fucking PED. And same thing with Caleb. And if he's cheating, if he's using PEDs, I hope he lose. You know, I hope he lose and lose bad. You know, I hope Caleb Plant beats his ass if he's using PEDs. You know, so that's what I got to say about that. I am what you need. You guys have been very, very, very entertaining. It's been fun talking with you guys, boxing and stuff. Errol Spence is a special fighter. I mean, very special. The only thing is, man, this brother, I don't know what's wrong with him. He be getting injuries nonstop. You know, he's funny. He's like, we wondering, Errol, are you gonna fall apart before you even get into your next fight? Your eye be breaking down. You got a car accident. Your body was breaking down, was all swollen up. What's up with Errol, man? Keep yourself together, brother. You like one of them skeletons that just be falling apart. Apparently they don't beat you up in the ring, but you'd be beating yourself up out of the ring. It's hilarious. Of course, Terrence Crawford survived a gunshot to the head, so what can I say, you know? And Terrence is a bad boy as well. I would love to see Errol versus Terrence. But first, let's see if we can get Terrence versus Sean. Negotiations fall apart, so it looks like we're going to go to purse bid. So hopefully they purse bid, get through with that, and then Sean Porter versus Terrence Crawford, man. You know, hopefully Terrence can weather the storm of Sean Porter, because that's gonna be a hell of a storm. He's going to definitely be tested, and if he comes through, he comes out of that, you know, shining and gets the. I don't care how he gets the win, just get the win. You know, then we might see Errol versus Terrence. But if Sean mows him over, then I guess it's Errol versus Sean. Whatever. You know what I mean? Or it's Ugas versus Errol. Whatever. All I care about is that they're facing each other. You know what I mean? And Terrence is one hell of a fighter. No matter what they say, win, lose, or draw, he's one hell of a fighter. I got a lot of respect for him. I'm happy that he's going to be facing Sean. That's definitely going to go down. It's just that they're going to have to do purse bid. And when that happens, man, May the best man win. You know, I like 50-50 fights. I like fights where I can't really predict the winner. We're thinking maybe Terrence will take Sean. Maybe take him. But then again, we don't know. Because Sean always prepared for fighting. Always giving people tough fights. Always giving people hard fights. So you never know. You know? Sean's got that reputation. And, you know, he don't always get the nod. He don't always get the nod. But we'll see. I mean, I thought Sean beat Arrow. Even with the 2 knockdowns, I thought Sean beat Arrow. So, I mean the 1 knockdown. So, I mean, Sean's a tough customer. So, you know, Terrence just getting by Sean. If Terrence can get by Sean, that's all we want, right? So he can get by Sean and breathe a sigh of relief and say never again. Because Porter's problems, man. Porter's been problems for everybody. If you just not on your A game, Porter's gonna take you, right? Hey, Porter's that kind of dude. And he's getting better too. So I don't know, man. I mean, Sean Porter, he faced everybody, give everybody a tough fight. Everybody. And that's the thing about Sean Porter, man. He keeps coming like an Energizer buddy. You hit him with your best shot, and he still keeps coming. So I love to see that. All right, people, I'm out of here. What you need, you guys tune in tonight. We'll talk about the greatest welterweight champions of all time, and you guys can come in on the StreamYard. We're gonna do it on StreamYard 7 o'clock tonight. So look out for that. I'm what you need. I need to go eat, do a whole bunch of things that I should have done today. I'm gonna catch you guys later. Peace.